across the fractured orbit of Varellin 4, a once prosperous world now half-shrouded in smoke. The last surviving members of the Varelli Council gathered in the ruins of their crystalline Senate chamber. Their defense grid had fallen. Their skies burned nightly. And the enemy, an ancient conqueror species known simply as the Verkan, was scheduled to breach the capital within 2 planetary cycles. In their desperation, the Council had sent a wideband distress signal to every allied civilization. Most responses were hesitant, some were apologetic. Others simply never replied, except one, humans. A single line of encrypted text had returned, "Message received. Assistance en route." Councillor Tyrax, the eldest of the Varelli, dismissed the reply as ceremonial politeness at first. Humans were new to the galactic stage, courageous, yes, but small in number, inexperienced, and famously reckless. Surely they would send a half-medical, half-recon crew. Perhaps a supply drop. Maybe a pair of diplomats who would arrive too late. He never expected what arrived instead. As dawn broke over the shattered horizon, the largest shadow the planet had ever seen emerged from FTL translation, an interlinked chain of colossal warships, their hulls glowing with the distinct crystalline blue signature of Terran quantum reactors. A full human fleet. Not just aid, a declaration, a promise. The beginning of a fight. On the command deck of the lead ship, the TSS Resolute, Captain Jack Warren leaned forward in his chair, his eyes fixed on the tactical displays. Blue-white light reflected off his uniform as he scanned the battlefield, the burning cities, the broken orbital towers, the desperate Varelli evacuation signals. This was worse than the briefing had suggested. Beside him stood Commander Sarah Halle, her expression sharp, her posture rigid with purpose. "They weren't exaggerating," she murmured. "The Verkan didn't come to occupy. They came to erase." Jack exhaled slowly. "Then we make sure they fail." Sarah glanced at him. "You really think we can stop them?" "I think," Jack said, "we're humans. That's what we do." Around them, the bridge buzzed with controlled tension. The crew was young, some barely out of academy, but their eyes were resolute. Humanity had been underestimated before. It didn't tend to end well for the aggressor. Down on the surface, Councillor Tyrax watched the unfolding spectacle through the cracked dome of an abandoned observatory. Several other Varelli accompanied him, trembling in silent disbelief as the blackness of space filled with gleaming Terran metal. "By the Star Mother," whispered Advisor Leith. Are they here to fight?" Tyrax swallowed hard. "They are humans," he said softly. "They do not answer distress calls halfway." Even as he spoke, the Terran fleet began to unfold, hangar bays opening, drone swarms launching, planetary shields activating. And then something the Varelli had never seen. Human warships moved forward instead of holding defensive position. Straight toward the Verkan super-carrier. Straight into the fire. Back aboard the Resolute, Sarah stood with a tactical tablet in her hand, reading out the incoming threat markers. "Verkan fleet is powering energy lances. Their flagship is targeting our front line. We can't go head-to-head." Jack didn't flinch. "Then we don't send the signal." Sarah tapped her comm. A moment later, the entire human fleet shifted formation, breaking apart into 3 sweeping arcs. Jack's plan, a maneuver impossible. For most species, too dynamic, too chaotic, too prone to catastrophic friendly fire. But humans excelled at chaos. The Terran ships dove between asteroid debris, skimming the atmospheric boundary, weaving through plasma fire as though dancing. Drone wings spiraled into tight formations, striking Verkan cannons with pinpoint precision. And the fleet's rear line released a barrage of EMP disruptors, shattering the enemy's coordination. The Verkan commander hesitated. He had expected fear. He had expected retreat. He had expected a plea for negotiations. He had received a species that charged like wolves. On the ground, the Varelli citizens began gathering outside shelters, watching the sky. The smoke, the destruction, the despair, they all paused. And for the first time in cycles, something bright cut through the darkness. "We are not alone," whispered a young Varelli child. Tyrax placed a trembling hand over his chest. "No," he said. "We are not." In orbit, a violent tremor shook the Resolute as energy fire slammed against its shields. Port shields at 40%. Someone shouted. Sarah gripped the rail. We can't keep taking hits like this. We won't, Jack replied, stepping forward. Focus everything on the Verkan supercarrier. Engines, weapons, every spare watt. Sir? Jack's voice grew steel-hard. We take the head. The body dies with it. Sarah stared at him for a long second, then nodded. Target locked. The Resolute surged forward, engines flaring bright. Other Terran warships fell into formation behind it, forming a spear of blue light cutting through the void. The Verkan carrier unleashed one final, desperate, hyper-dash lance. It struck the Resolute dead-on, alarm screamed. Panels exploded. The deck lurched violently. Sarah was thrown to the floor. Jack caught her arm, pulling her back up. Stay with me, Commander. She gasped, steadied herself, then slammed her hand onto the firing console. Main battery fire. A column of Terran quantum energy tore from the Resolute's front cannons, piercing the Verkan carrier's hull. The enemy flagship erupted in a chain of detonations, one after another, until its entire superstructure shattered in a bloom of brilliant blue fire. The Verkan fleet faltered. Then broke, then fled. Silence fell across the bridge utter. Total silence until the comms officer whispered, Sir, the Verkan are retreating. Crew members sagged in relief. A few cried. Sarah let out a long, shaking breath. Jack allowed himself a small smile. Good, he whispered. Let them run. Hours later, the Varelli Council broadcast a request to dock. The Resolute welcomed them aboard. Counselor Tyrax approached Jack and Sarah inside the observation bay, bowing deeply. You came to our aid, Tyrax said softly. We expected supplies, perhaps a medic team, a negotiation envoy at most. Jack shrugged lightly. You asked for help. Tyrax raised his gaze, voice trembling. Yes, but you sent an army. Sarah smiled. That's how humans do aid. For the first time since the war began, Tyrax laughed. Not a sad laugh, a hopeful one. You humans, he said, are far more dangerous and far more noble than the galaxy understands. Jack offered a hand. Then let them learn. Tyrax clasped it with both hands. They will, today they must. Outside the observation window, the Terran fleet drifted in peaceful formation over the saved world of Varellan 4, brilliant, defiant, and unmistakably human. And for the first time, the galaxy realized humanity didn't just send aid. Humanity sent a promise, a warning, a future.